Was able to pick up a Brown and Sharpe surface grinder on the cheap. I don't know what year it is. I'm going to decode the ID number, hopefully. But this is a number 2. I believe from what I've seen, it's got to be before 1945, because they switched to a different style, I believe, in 1945. Now, this is an auto feed machine with an entirely mechanical controlled auto feed system that will advance your table a little bit each time. Now, I'm about to wire it up and we'll see how it works. I know this lever here engages it, and this plunger hits one of these, and that makes the thing travel back and forth. But everything moves nicely. There's some wax coatings on some things. There's clear, like this, is clearly full of oil because in transport oil started pouring out. And the bottom actually looks fairly nice. It's not, if I can just move it just by pulling on it lightly, that we're in pretty good shape. So for a machine that's almost 100 years old, that, it could be from the 20s. They made these in the 30s and late 20s, I believe, that are in this style. A number 2B would not have the auto feed system, but fortunately this one has had a modern day, I believe it's a 220 single phase motor put on with a nice little switch box here, and that's perfect for my setup because the machine shop I have here is going to have, it only has single phase power. So I took the 10 horsepower 3-phase motor out of this lathe and put a 7.5 horse single phase, and this is a single phase Bridgeport. So already wired up for what we need, but we're gonna be kind of taking this thing apart and making sure everything's perfectly oiled up, lubricated, everything like that before we actually try to run it. It has a big coolant pan system here with a table that's actually bolted on to the original table underneath right there. So that's interesting, and it's very heavy duty, thick walled stuff here, and it's got a nice coolant port for it to drain back out into your tank. So that's going to be good. For an auto-fed grinder, you want to have everything stay nice and cool. So we've got the cover here for the belts. Some of them are missing those. The belts are all intact. This belt here that crosses over itself is the one that actually drives the auto feed system. Here's the motor, and then you've got 2 idlers and a counterweight that actually takes up the slack as your Z travels up and down. So as you move this, there needs to be like 1.5 feet of travel, and they have to take up the slack in the belt. So I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how the settings work, but luckily everything here seems to move good. All the adjustment knobs move good. This thing clearly has a position here and here, but we're going to have it wired up pretty quickly, and we'll find out how all of this stuff works. But I got this thing for $400, and in the condition that it's in, that's a great deal. Because normally you walk up to an old machine, can't hardly move anything, nothing turns. This thing was stored inside, and it was mounted to this pallet right here, and I got it for cheap. So we'll see how she goes. Probably get it operational, and then as time progresses, kind of cosmetically clean it up. Actually, the finish isn't bad. I might just wash it up and leave it just like it is. So maybe take this brass plaque off here and give it a little polish. But we do have a serial number right here that's barely legible. I think it says 18165 or 85. But apparently about 1 foot to the right of the middle of the table, somewhere in there, stamped on the table, is the serial number that the date has a reference to. So once we get this table attachment here on the top taken off, we'll see kind of what it looks like under there. But yeah, Brown and Sharpe. It's the same Brown and Sharpe that makes, the calipers and measuring devices and things like that. Like these Brown and Sharpe calipers right here. These are my favorite things on earth. I'm a Brown and Sharpe guy. So naturally, I wanted to get a Brown and Sharpe machine where I could. They made screw machines, things like that. I don't need a screw machine, but a surface grinder, definitely.